Hi guys, for this week's video, I am going to be doing a book review, as you can tell by the title, and I'm going to be reviewing the book Warheart by Terry Goodkind, depending on how you say it. And this is the last book, part of the Sword of Truth kind of universe. If you aren't familiar with the Sword of Truth series, it is amazing. It is really awesome. So I have already done reviews on the books prior to this one, Warheart. So if you're interested, I will link it in the down bar below in the description bar and you can check it out. And let's get started on this review. Okay, so this book, Warheart, starts off with Richard's funeral, his funeral pyre, and it is told by the perspective of Kaylin. And I have to say I got really emotional reading like that first chapter when they're just, the way that Terry describes, you know, the people waiting for Kaylin to set Richard ablaze, and she's kind of thinking back on, you know, her moments with Richard, and it just made me really, really sad. It made me really sad that I started crying after reading a page, just a page, and I started crying. Because if you've read the Sword of Truth series and you followed Richard and Kaylin through all these books and everything that they've gone through, you know just how much they've just had to go through. They've gone through so much just to be together, and it's just really sad to see that he's dead. I did have a feeling that Terry was going to find a way to bring him back in this book, and it was cemented once Kaylin started having her doubts in that first chapter. I just wasn't really sure how they were going to do it because his heart was stopped by Nikki and he was really taken into the underworld. The first chapter made me emotional. Then they end up making their way to, Kaylin ends up making her way with Nikki to find the witch woman that she had met in the previous book. And she thinks that she might be able to tell her a way to save Richard. When she ends up meeting the witch woman, and the woman is cooking for her in the forest and describing how the half people ended up going through her dwelling and how it's a mess. I thought that was actually really funny because I could picture it, because it referenced back to the last book where they mentioned that she had said, or someone else had mentioned that the past where she lives runs red with the blood of her enemies or something like that. So it was really funny that she kind of referenced it back. Personally, I really like when Terry puts in different animals into the series. We've had dragons, and we've had like this tiger kind of hybrid thing that the witch woman has. And my favorite animal thus far in all this series is Gratch. I love Gratch. I think I've mentioned this before, but I love Gratch. I just have a really soft spot for him. And I always wish kind of like we would see him again, but it already finished and we haven't seen him. So anyways, I really enjoy when Terry writes in animal characters. Maybe because I'm an animal lover and I just really like it. But I think that the animals kind of bring another dimension to the story sometimes. They're silent, but yet they're helping the main characters in some way. So in this book, we don't really get to hear too much from Sulishan and Bishop Ark. We don't really hear that much from them. After Richard comes back into the story, we mainly just hear from his perspective. Don't really get any insight into Kaylin really, unless it's from Richard's perspective. So mainly the rest of the book is from Richard's perspective, which in a way is kind of just paying homage to the fact that in the beginning, the first book, Wizard's First Rule, it's Richard's perspective. He's the main protagonist in the book. He's the main character. So it's kind of ending and starting the same way with his voice telling us what's going on. Although I really do love Kaylin's voice. So we did get to see some of our favorite characters that were no longer featured in the books. Like for instance, Zed died in the previous book, which was super sad, and we never got to see like a proper goodbye from him. Richard never got to say really goodbye. So in this book we got to see him in the underworld when Richard was there and Zed came to help him, and we got to see like Dina, who was a Word Sith that had trained him, and he grew to care for her in previous books. So it's really nice. We got to see Magnus Sirius. We got to see different characters that we've heard about, some that we know and we love, and they were all helping Richard out. And then we also get the reemergence of Kara. Kara is also one of my favorite characters. I just really feel like I love Terry's female characters like the most. I love Richard, don't get me wrong. I love Nathan, I love Zed. But I really, really love the way that he writes female characters. So we got to see Kara, which was great because I was really hoping that we were going to get to see her. Richard had wondered what was going on with her. I had wondered what had gone on. Like, where was she? What was she doing? She had left Richard's service after her husband died, Benjamin, and we didn't really hear anything from her. The only thing I have to say is that when Kara did come back into the books, I felt like that scene was a bit weird. Kaylin and Nikki are, and the witch woman, are with Richard. He's still dead on the bed and they're being attacked. And you just see Kara just burst into the room unexpectedly, unannounced. Don't even know where she's coming from. Like, she just ends up there, helps them fight a little bit, and then just like goes over to Richard and gives him the kiss of life, the breath of life, sorry, the breath of life. And you have Kaylin describing how she, Kara looked a bit weird and she felt hesitant to hug her. I actually thought that she was possessed with something. I was like, great, does Sulashan get to her or something like that, or Eben Dreer, they do something to her. But I did know that once the witch woman told Kaylin and Nikki that someone was going to have to forfeit their lives, that Kara was going to be the one to forfeit her life, because it has to be someone that loves Richard. And Kara loves Richard just as much as Nikki and Kaylin do. So I knew that it was going to be her. I just didn't know how she was going to end up coming into the book. And I thought that that scene that Terry introduced her into the book was a bit weird. I don't know. It just felt really rushed. We didn't get any dialogue from her. It was just like, bam, she's there, giving herself so Richard can live, and then she's gone. I don't know. It just felt really, really quick. It just felt kind of like he needed to put her there, and he just needed to get it done really quickly. So that was his resolution for it. So what I sensed from this book, Warheart, was that Terry wanted to tie up loose ends, and that is what the book accomplished. It wasn't as riveting, I would say, as some of the other books that had more complex storylines, but the purpose of this book was just to finally defeat Abbott Dreer, wow, no! Finally defeat Bishop Ark and Sulashan, and making sure that Richard and Kaylin are back, and Richard and Kaylin are healthy and don't have death in them anymore. And so those were the main, that was the main conflict, was that Sulashan and Bishop Ark wanted to destroy everything, and Richard and Kaylin were sick in the last book, so they needed to be healthy to help basically destroy them, to have everyone safe. And that is what this book was about. It was just that one main conflict, and you had like a little sub-conflict, which was Samantha, because in the last book she had ran away, and we knew that she was going to be a problem. So she was like kind of a smaller sub-conflict, and she was dealt with actually really quickly. She died really quickly. She did try to kill Richard and Kaylin twice, as we see in the book, two or three times. And in a way, I'm glad that it was a little bit quickly, because I feel like Terry usually in his other books, he has a lot of different conflicts. He has the main conflict, and then he has a lot of little sub-conflicts, and the sub-conflicts are the ones that interfere with getting the main conflicts resolved. But this book, since it's the last one, I guess didn't want that many sub-conflicts. He just wanted to focus on that one. Samantha dying because she was hard-headed was nice and poetic. That speaks a lot about just human nature in general. There are a lot of people that are just like Samantha, that they're very fixated on their hatred and their need for revenge and being blinded to the facts. That is ultimately what undoes them. So that is definitely a quality that is abundant in us humans. So I did enjoy the book because it was the final chapter. Like I said, it was just very conflict, resolve it, and that's it. I was surprised that the way that he defeated Sulashan was just to have Richard have the call of death within him. I didn't see that coming. Even when Richard was playing with the wax, I didn't see that coming. I just didn't think that that was one of the options. But it was a nice way to kind of get rid of them without having even more conflict. And also Richard's resolution for the half people, just reuniting them with their souls, is another great way of getting the problem fixed without creating more conflict, because I thought it was just going to be a bloodbath and there was like so many half people. So I really enjoyed the fact that Terry kind of tied that in and made a nice resolution for those problems. Because it was the last book, I feel like Terry just wanted to kind of just wrap up loose ends in all the other stories and give us a happy ending. And I think I had seen an interview where he mentioned about he doesn't like reading books that don't resolve the conflict in the book and it carries over into the next one. So I think that's probably why he ended it off on a good note, which I'm happy. I feel like Richard and Caitlin, they've gone through so much in their relationship, and everybody else, everybody in Zahara and Nikki, and I have gone through so much things, and it's good that they have the book ending, that he had the book ending on like a good, positive note. I'm glad that we got to see Nathan. I actually really liked the way, I liked Richard's observation of Nathan, or the way that Terry wrote Nathan, Richard observing Nathan. He was a prisoner for so long, and most of his time was just spent reading, and that now that he no longer is a prisoner, he is acting out in what he feels is what an adventurer would be, kind of thing. And I thought that was really funny, because I think anybody who really loves book, well, I shouldn't say anybody who really loves books, but anyone who is like a lover of books and gets really engrossed in what they're reading. I know this happens to me, like as a reader, that I finish reading a book sometimes, or a series, and I come out of it feeling like I've gone through the trials and tribulations that the main characters have gone through. I feel like I've been there, I know what's going on, and even though I'm like, I stopped reading on the regular world, it's, you know, there's a little bit of a blurry line where you feel almost like fantasy and reality kind of blur together, and you feel so intently what you were reading, and you feel like you were a part of it. So the fact that Nathan, it's just like, it's almost like Nathan's one of us, which, I don't know, I just thought that that was really cool, because I think we've all done that as like book readers. I'm really sad that the whole series is over. I'm really sad that the story with Richard and Caitlin is over for now. Those are characters that I've grown to love and respect, and yeah, it's just sad that they're no longer going to be there. I mean, they're going to be there if I want to reread the books, which I probably will reread the books, and maybe I can do like a read along or book reviews and stuff like that. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comment section. But yeah, I really enjoyed the way that Terry wrote the whole Sword of Truth series, and also the series after, with all the characters that we know. I think there's about like 15, 16 books. I really enjoyed how he wrote that, how he put in his perspective of what he views as evil and good and somewhat in between, and the way that he examines human nature and human faults in so many of the books. Like, oh my god, I think I will do book reviews on other books because they're so good. So it's a little bit bittersweet, but I definitely think that Terry's books have influenced me in thinking more about how we as humans have a part to take in this world, and it's helped shape me and think about things a little bit differently, the world differently. And I'm really appreciative that I got to read this book series, all of the books with Richard and Caitlin. It's definitely one of those book series that I would recommend to other people. And yeah, I'll just leave it right there. I think I definitely will be doing book reviews on the other books. I can get more into detail about how I feel about his philosophy. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Check the description bar below the video for any social media links, and also links to my vlog channel and all that stuff if you're interested. And I will see you guys next week for a new video. Bye!